Before we get into today's story, I want you to think about something. Imagine you've been married for 8 years. You trust your wife completely. You share a home, a bank account, a life together. You never check her phone. You never question where she goes. Why would you? Then one day, while she's in the shower, her watch lights up. One message, one notification, one sentence that destroys everything. Most guys would confront their spouse immediately. This guy didn't. Instead, he spent months quietly collecting evidence, building a case, and planning a revenge. So he calculated that when the truth finally came out, it didn't just end the marriage, it destroyed the secret life she thought she'd gotten away with. And the craziest part, she had absolutely no idea he knew. This is one of the wildest revenge stories I've ever heard, so sit back, relax, and let's get into it. This is a submission from the Confession subreddit. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. This happened over the past 4 months, and I'm finally ready to share because holy Reddit, I can't believe I pulled this off. So I, 34, male, was married to my wife Rachel, 32F, for 8 years. Together for 10. No kids, thank God, because that would have made everything so much messier. I'm a software engineer, she works in marketing. We thought what I had was a solid marriage. Good communication, regular date nights, the whole package. Or so I thought. Here's where it gets interesting. About 4 months ago, Rachel left her Apple Watch on the bathroom counter when she was showering. This wasn't unusual. She always took it off before showering. But what was unusual was that it kept buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. Now, normally I'm not a snooper, never have been. But after the 7th buzz in 2 minutes, I glanced over. The preview on the screen said, can't wait to taste you again tomorrow. My stomach dropped. I picked it up. The messages were from Derek, Jim, except we don't go to a gym. We have a Peloton in the spare bedroom that Rachel uses religiously. I scrolled up. Yeah, no passcode on the watch. Rookie mistake on her part. The messages went back weeks. Explicit stuff. Planned meetups. Hotel names. One message made me physically nauseous. Your husband really has no idea what he's missing when he's buried in code all day. Here's the thing about me. I don't react emotionally in a crisis situation. It's probably why I'm good at my job. When production goes down at 3 a.m., I don't panic. I methodically trace the problem and fix it. So that's exactly what I did here. I took a breath. I took photos of everything on that watch with my phone. Then I put it back exactly where it was and went to make coffee like nothing happened. Rachel came out of the shower, kissed me on the cheek, grabbed her watch, and headed to yoga class. Sure, babe. That's when I made the decision. I wasn't going to confront her, not yet. Because here's what I actually knew about Rachel. She's a narcissist, not the internet diagnostic way, but the actual clinical way. Her mom is the same. Everything is always someone else's fault. If I confronted her with just phone messages, she'd gaslight me, trickle truth me, and somehow make me feel like the bad guy for invading her privacy. No, I needed everything. All airtight, undeniable, nuclear. I spent the next 3 weeks becoming a man I didn't recognize, but honestly, I was really good at it. First, I checked our phone records. Then I checked the Venmo history. This was the real goldmine. Rachel had been Venmoing someone named Derek Castellano for random amounts on inside joke captions. $40 for being so good to me, and $25 because you deserve it. I reverse searched his Venmo, public profile, hedge fund manager, married, 2 kids. Oh, this kept getting better. Then I checked the location history. Rachel's Google account was logged into our shared iPad that she forgot about. I could see her entire history timeline. Yoga class was actually Marriott downtown every single Tuesday for 2 months. I went onto the hotel receipts. I checked our credit card statements. She'd be using our joint card for work lunches at restaurants near the Marriott. Sloppy. With 3 weeks of evidence compiled into a neat little folder, I took a work trip to visit my best friend Jake 2 states over. Except I also scheduled a consultation with Marcus Chen, a divorce attorney Jake recommended, who has a reputation for absolutely being ruthless. I walked Marcus through everything. He actually smiled, like a genuine smile, and said, "This is the most well-documented case I've seen in 15 years. She's screwed." Here's what Marcus explained. In our state, we're a no-fault only state. Adultery matters. It affects most alimony, asset division, and everything. And I had proof that would hold up in court. Marcus also explained something that changed my entire approach. You want revenge? Don't just divorce her. Expose the affair in a way that has consequences for the both of them. Make it hurt. And that's what we planned. The plan had multiple phases, all happening simultaneously. This was easier than expected. LinkedIn showed Derek Castellano worked at Whitmore Capital. His Facebook, public profile, because he's an idiot, showed his wife Jennifer and their 2 kids. I created a burner email account that sent Jennifer a carefully worded message with screenshots of texts, emails, hotel receipts, and Venmo payments. I included dates, times, and locations. I kept it factual, not emotional. I thought you deserved to know what your husband was doing, I said at the bottom of the email. Whitmore Capital has strict ethics policies. Turns out Derek had been using company funds for some of these hotel rooms, expensing them as client meetings. I sent an anonymous tip to their HR department and their ethics hotline with documentation. Let's let them investigate. Rachel's mom, Patricia, is a piece of work. Uber religious, judgmental, and the source of Rachel's narcissism. But she's also the family matriarch who controls a trust fund that it was set to inherit. I called Patricia. I told her everything about the situation, and Patricia's face went purple. She literally said, "I didn't raise a cheater." Her words, not mine, harsh, but I wasn't going to argue. Marcus filed the paperwork citing adultery with full documentation attached. We requested an unequal division of assets, no alimony for her, and I kept the house, which was mine before the marriage anyways. Here's the piece de la resistance, Reddit, the thing I'm most proud of. Rachel and Derek had a standing Tuesday night date at this upscale Italian place downtown, Marcello's. I knew this from the emails. So I did something petty and beautiful. I contacted Jennifer, Derek's wife, and invited her to dinner at Marcello's. Same night, same time, table right next to where Derek and Rachel always sat. Jennifer was on board. She was out for blood. That Tuesday, I told Rachel I had to work late. Ironic, right? She got all dolled up for her girls' night. She even stopped trying with the lies. I watched her leave, waited 20 minutes, and headed to Marcello's. Jennifer and I were already seated when they walked in. The hostess sat them down at their regular table, right next to us. The look on Derek's face when she saw Jennifer was like watching someone's soul leave their body. Rachel didn't even notice at first because she was too busy giggling at someone on her phone. Then Jennifer stood up. Derek, Rachel, what a coincidence. I've never seen 2 people go from flushed to happy to white-faced so fast. Rachel's eyes met mine. I smiled and raised my wine glass. Hey, honey, funny seeing you here. I thought you were at a girls' night. It was chaos. Beautiful, justified chaos. Rachel tried to run, literally leave the restaurant, but I had already paid our bill. So I stood up and said loud enough for nearby tables to hear, "Don't leave money on my account. I'm just here having dinner with Jennifer while we discuss our spouse's 3-month affair. Please, enjoy your date." Derek tried to do damage control, but Jennifer, God bless her, had printed out some of the emails and started reading them aloud. The restaurant manager eventually asked us all to leave, but the damage was done. Derek's company launched a full investigation. Turns out he'd been expensing personal stuff for months. He was fired within 2 weeks and now potentially facing fraud charges. Jennifer filed for divorce and is taking to the cleaners. She got a better lawyer than he did. She's getting primary custody and the house. Rachel's mom cut her off from the trust fund completely. Patricia told her she was a disgrace to the family. The divorce went through fast because Rachel's lawyer advised her not to fight it. With all my evidence, she would have lost worse, got minimal assets, no alimony, and is going to move in with her sister. I kept the house, my retirement accounts, and my dignity. It's been 2 months since the divorce was finalized, and I'm doing really well, actually. I've been going to therapy, highly recommended. I reconnected with some old friends. I've also been dating a little. Nothing serious yet, but it's been nice to feel wanted by someone who isn't lying to my face. Jennifer and I are actually friends now. We get coffee sometimes and laugh about how our exes are both miserable. She's thriving, her kids are adjusting, and she's already dating someone new who treats her well. Rachel tried to contact me a few times. First it was angry text about how I ruined her life, and then it was apologies and begging to talk. Then more anger. I blocked her on everything. My lawyer handles any necessary communication. Derek, from what I hear through Jennifer, is living in a studio apartment and working at a much less prestigious firm for half his old salary. His reputation in the industry is trashed. A few tips I have for you. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't react emotionally. React strategically. Document everything. Screenshots, receipts, and timestamps. Get a good lawyer before you do anything. And, best of all, revenge is a dish best served cold. Calculated with maximum collateral damage to all guilty parties. Some people told me I went too far, that I should have just divorced her quietly. But you know what? She made the choice to cheat. She made the choice to disrespect our marriage, and she made the choice to mock me in emails to her affair partner. I just made sure there were consequences. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just free. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Sometimes the good guys win. Well, do you guys think he went too far? I have another story. This one is another submission from the Confession subreddit. The title is, I proved my entire family wrong and watched their faces when they realized it was the sweetest moment of my life. Throwaway account because some of my family members use Reddit. I need to get this off my chest because honestly, I'm still processing what happened last weekend at my cousin's wedding reception. For context, I'm 29 now. When I was 23, fresh out of college with a generic business degree, I told my family I wanted to become a video game designer. Not just play games, design them, build worlds, tell stories through interactive media. The reaction was immediate. My dad literally laughed. Not a chuckle, a full belly laugh. Video games? You want to make video games for a living? That's not a career, that's a hobby. My mom got that worried look she always gets, the one where her eyebrows scrunch together. Honey, that's so unstable. What about the benefits? What about retirement? You can't build a life on something so unreliable. My older brother, Marcus, who already had 2 years in his job at a consulting firm, just shook his head. Dude, grow up. We all have dreams. I wanted to be a professional surfer, but you know what adults do? They get real jobs. Even my grandma chimed in. In my day, people had respectable careers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, not playing around with computers all day. I tried to explain that gaming industry was worth billions, that it was legitimate, that I'd been teaching myself programming and design for years, that I had a portfolio. Nobody wanted to hear it. You'll be back in a year asking for money, my dad said. Mark my words. I moved out 3 weeks later. Here's the thing about having family that doesn't believe you. It's not just one conversation. It's every interaction for years, every phone call home. So you ready to look for a real job yet? Every holiday dinner. Marcus got promoted again. He's making 6 figures now. How's the game thing going? Every family gathering, someone asking what I do, me explaining, and then watching exchange look with their parents. You know the look. Oh, one of those. My mom would call and casually mention job openings at her friends' companies. It's a backup plan, sweetie, just in case. My dad stopped asking about my work entirely, like he didn't acknowledge it. It wasn't real. Marcus would send me LinkedIn job postings. Just trying to help, bro. No shame in pivoting. The worst part? I was struggling. Hard. I lived in a 400-foot studio apartment that smelled like the Indian restaurant downstairs. Not a bad smell, actually. It just seeped into everything I owned. My clothes, my sheets, my laptop bag. I worked 3 jobs. Barista in the morning, freelance coding during the day, restaurant server at night. I slept maybe 5 hours if I was lucky. Every spare moment went into my game projects. My bank account was a joke. There were months I had to choose between groceries and software subscriptions. I chose the subscriptions. You can eat ramen. You can't design games without the tools. I stopped going to family events because I couldn't afford gas money and I couldn't handle the questions, the concerned looks, and the pity. My best friend Alex was the only person who believed in me. He'd come over with pizza and energy drinks and just sit there while I worked, offering feedback, hyping me up when I wanted to quit. And I wanted to quit. God, I wanted to quit so many times. There were nights I'd lay awake thinking maybe they were right. Maybe I was delusional. Maybe I should apply at Marcus's firm and accept that some people get to follow their dreams and some people don't. But I couldn't do it. Maybe it was the stubbornness. Maybe it was spite. Maybe it was actual belief in my work. I kept going. 4 years of this grind. Something shifted. I'd been working on an indie game with a small team I met online. We'd been developing it for 2 years, pouring everything into it. It was a narrative-driven puzzle game about memory and loss. Weird, personal, definitely not a guaranteed hit. We launched it on a Tuesday morning. By Tuesday night, it had picked up 3 major gaming influencers. By Wednesday, we were trending on Steam. By Friday, we'd sold 50,000 copies. I remember staring at the sales dashboard, refreshing it over and over, convinced it was a glitch. Alex was screaming in my apartment. We were both crying and laughing, and I think I blacked out for a second because the relief was so overwhelming. The money from that game let me quit 2 of my 3 jobs, let me move into a better apartment, and let me breathe for the first time in years. But that was just the beginning. A major studio reached out. They played our game. They wanted to talk. 6 months later, I was hired as a senior game developer at a studio whose games I'd grown up playing. The salary was more than Marcus made, and the benefits were incredible. I had my own office with my name on the door. Our small indie game got nominated for awards. Won some of them. I went to ceremonies in a suit and took pictures with developers I'd idolized. I didn't tell my family any of this. I kept my social media private. When they were asking how things were going, I said fine and changed the subject. I let them think I was scraping by still chasing a foolish dream. Maybe that was petty. I don't care. Last weekend, my cousin Sarah's wedding. It was a big family affair. Everyone would be there, but I didn't go because Sarah and I were close growing up, and she never judged me for my choices. So I flew in, rented a nice car, and wore a custom suit I had tailored. The reception was at a country club. Very fancy, very look how successful we are. I walked out and immediately spotted my parents talking to my uncle. Marcus was at the bar with his wife. My mom saw me first. Her face did that thing where she was clearly surprised I'd shown up. She hurried over. "Oh, honey, you made it. We weren't sure if you could afford the flight." I hugged her. "Yeah, I made it work." "Well, you look nice. Did you borrow that suit?" "No, Mom. It's mine." My dad joined us, shook my hand. "Good to see you, son. How's the job hunt going?" "I'm not job hunting, Dad. I have a job." Right, the game thing. I meant a career job." I was about to respond when Marcus walked over with his signature smirk. "Little bro, long time. Still doing the gaming stuff? That's cool, man. Great hobby. Hey, my firm is actually hiring if you want me to put in a word. Get you something more stable." That was my moment. I could have been gracious, could have been humble, but I wasn't. "Thanks, Marcus, but I'm good. I'm actually a senior designer at Apex Studios now, and you know, the company that made Echoes of Tomorrow, that franchise?" His smirk faltered. "Wait, what?" "Yeah, I've been there about a year. Before that, I was lead designer at Fractured Memory. It won Best Indie Game at the Game Awards last year. Sold 500,000 copies so far." My mom's mouth was open. My dad had gone very still. "The salary's pretty comfortable," I continued. I couldn't get the edge out of my voice. "More than consulting pays, actually, plus royalties from the indie game, and I'm working on something new that I can't talk about yet, but it's going to be huge." Marcus looked at me like I'd slapped him. "So, you're serious?" "Dead serious. Why would I joke about my career?" The word career landed like I wanted it to. My dad recovered first. "Son, why didn't you tell us?" "I tried to tell you, Dad, 6 years ago. You laughed at me. You all did." My mom reached for my arm. "We were just worried. We didn't want you to struggle." I did struggle. For years. I ate ramen for dinner most nights. I worked myself to exhaustion. And every time I talked to you, all I got was that judgment and pity and suggestions to give up. You told me to grow up, Marcus. You sent me job postings like I was failing. Grandma told me everyone I was wasting my life. The conversation had drawn attention. Family members were watching now. I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad, I said. That was partially a lie. I'm telling you because I need you to understand something. I did it. I proved you wrong, and I did it without your support, your belief, without any of you thinking I could. My dad looked older suddenly, tired. We're proud of you, son. Are you, or are you just relieved you don't have to be embarrassed anymore? Nobody had any answer for that. I stayed for another hour, had cake, congratulated Sarah, accepted awkward hugs from my relatives who suddenly wanted to hear all about my work. My mom cried and apologized. My dad keeps saying he always knew I had it at me, which was such an obvious lie I almost laughed. Marcus was quiet. His wife asked a lot of questions about the industry. I think she was genuinely interested. He looked uncomfortable the whole time. I left early, drove back to my hotel, and sat on the bed with my expensive suit and felt, I don't know, vindicated, sad, angry, relieved, all of it, maybe. Here's what I learned. Proving people wrong feels good for about 5 minutes. Then you realize you spent years carrying their doubt and weight on your back, and even if you've set it down, you can still feel where it pressed into your shoulders. I don't regret my choices. I love my work, and I'm proud of what I built. But I wish I had my family in my corner from the start. I wish I didn't have to do it alone, fueled by spite and stubbornness. I wish their pride didn't feel so hollow. Anyways, that's my confession. I proved them all wrong, and it was the sweetest and saddest moment of my life. I don't know, I feel like that guy was very spiteful. His family actually seemed like they were quite happy for him, and I know, yeah, I mean, what else can you say? But that wraps up today's story time. Thank you guys for listening. Please remember this post was made without AI, so it took me hours, and if you're willing, please like and subscribe. Have a good rest of your day.